welcome. We try and do this every month. It doesn't happen every month. We're going to try and get a bit more regular with it, get into more of a rhythm. You can see here some of the fun and games from previous events. But yeah, this evening, to give you a quick rundown on what we're up to, I'm going to just do a few little announcements, what's been happening in the world of Webflow. We're our keynote presentation this evening, we've got Lauri from Estonia tackling the somewhat controversial topic of WordPress versus Webflow. I come from a background of WordPress. I've discovered Webflow. It's a pendulum swing in my mind over time. But let's hear what Lauri has to say. And then our very own Anthony, one of our digital producers at Design by Structure, will be doing a short demo of some Webflow enterprise features. Now, we're live streaming tonight. Hopefully it's working. If not, there'll be a recording. And we'll have to terminate the recording at that point due to non-disclosure arrangements with Webflow. However, everyone in the room here is present, so you're getting exclusive insight into some upcoming features. Yeah, we have to not take photos or share this information outside this room. And then finally, we've got a hard stop at 8 p.m. But we don't have to all go home. If you're up for it, I'm going for a drink in the bar downstairs. It's full of arcade machines and yeah, good fun. So, right. The Webflow community, we're trying to create connections, inspire each other, and contribute. So I just wanted to mention on the topic of contribution, it would be great if anyone in this room, or if you know anybody that has something interesting they'd like to share, we've got events planned for the rest of the year. Just put your hand up, speak to me, let me know, and we can find a spot on the agenda. It's filling up quickly, so get in there now. It's not really, I'm just trying to create, you know. But yeah, yeah, I've got some ideas for next month, but yeah, we can have a chat afterwards if there's something you'd like to demo, a project you've been working on, a new feature, even stuff around, you know, agency life or freelance life. It doesn't have to be specifically Webflow. Right, so I normally run through a few updates, but Webflow have kindly produced this video. It's only a few minutes long of what's changed in the last few months. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but we can have a quick little, if this works.
Everybody, we're back with a roundup of tiny but mighty updates that have shipped since the new year. Alan, who's usually here with me, is currently on a ship across the Atlantic, or more likely Atlantic. So joining me today to help run through this is Sophia. So let's get into it.
Thanks, Em, and thanks for having me. Alrighty, starting off with improvements that will help you build the best sites on the web. Variable modes launched, which allows you to create sets of variable values that can be easily switched and applied throughout your site, unlocking responsive design across devices, efficient theming, and a more scalable design system.
Speaking of variable modes, those are now supported by shared libraries, as well as assets. You heard that right. Shared libraries now supports assets, variables, and components, unifying your design system across all the sites in your workspace. And we know how important organization is when it comes to building quality sites, which is why we also launched the new Assets panel. All asset management sections are now available in the three-dot menu, just like components and variables, making it even more efficient and intuitive to organize, replace, and compress assets.
Next up, you can now style pre-tags in code blocks, making it easy to style all pre-tags and control formatting without custom code.
Now, AI. We've got two exciting updates when it comes to using AI in Webflow.
Remember the Webflow AI assistant? Now you can make content modifications on Canvas, instantly adjust tone, length, clarity, and more, helping you fine-tune your writing without additional work.
And now for the launch. In case you missed it, we launched our AI site builder. This feature is not exactly tiny, but it's definitely mighty for those of you who are looking to get started faster. The AI Site Builder allows anyone to go from prompt to design system to site in minutes. And if you haven't played with it yet, go check it out. It's now in beta. Head over to webflow.com/AI-site-builder.
Let's talk about website management enhancements. For those on business site plans, we've introduced additional bandwidth add-ons, now allowing you to buy up to 2.5 terabytes of bandwidth, giving your site the capacity to scale as your business grows. We also shipped per-page JavaScript, which ensures each page on your site only loads the JavaScript resources it needs to function instead of using a single site-wide JS file, a big win for faster loader times.
Now, let's talk about what's launched for Webflow Enterprise customers and their partners recently. First up is custom roles, which gives you granular control and security over which permissions teammates are assigned, like who can publish to production or make design system changes, with the ability to craft custom user roles to meet the unique needs of your team. We've also made some improvements to Webflow Optimize. And if you're not using it yet, what ship are you on? Now, Optimize Enterprise customers can target, filter, and report your optimizations through the new Optimize Overview page, custom URL parameters, and custom attributes.
Additionally, enterprise localization customers can now set individual static pages to draft for any given locale, which allows for increased control over the visibility and publishing timelines of localized pages.
And last but not least, we launched dedicated CMS content delivery APIs, which programmatically extend the CMS data to power multi-channel experiences.
Okay, now moving on to apps. Used to working between Figma and Webflow? Well, we've made some improvements to how we sync components, sections, variables, and styles with our redesigned plugin and app. And don't forget to check out the new apps that have launched on the marketplace. We now have apps for Visual Electric, Triple Checker, Stripe, SmartLink, ShipStation, and most recently, Clay.
Now, on to improvements for marketers. In case you missed it, marketers can use page building to quickly drag and drop pre-built components to build designer-approved landing pages on their own. But we've added 2 new enhancements to the marketer role that give it even more flexibility and control. Marketers can now choose between building pages from scratch or by leveraging pre-built page templates. They can update content quickly by selecting components both in and outside the page slots. And not to mention, you can still access and edit props directly in the right-hand panel.
At that point there, I had to listen to carefully because we're loving the build mode at the moment and having this marketer role where we design these components. We've got a page template with a page slot, and marketers can set up these pages, drag and drop these components into the page slot. The new slightly tweaked thing to that is that marketers will be able to create not just a page from a template, which would have your global elements, but a completely blank page. So it'd be interesting to try that out. I'm not sure if we'd have the use case for that. Typically, we'd want that control of the global styling and the header and footer. But yeah, an interesting feature nonetheless.
Freelancers and agencies out there. Client payments and seamless transfers are here.
So some of these features now we're going to skip over. You can find out all those news. That was very convenient that I had that video running because our camera dropped out momentarily. It's now working again. So that's worked out for the best. Hang on. Skip. Right, other news. We've got FlowFest coming up 8th of August. Isabel, who helped me run the RetroFlow event with Webflow conference last summer. She's doing her FlowFest event up in Manchester on the 8th of August. I encourage you to go to flowfest.co.uk, put your details in, and you'll get notified when the tickets go on sale. I would love to be there. We can see some of the past participants. Dan, can you speak to what FlowFest is like?
It's really fun, really chill. It's kind of like a festival atmosphere.
Yep.
They try and make it a bit less conference and a bit more, more chill. So really recommend going.
And the accent up there is okay?
Yeah, just about,
Yeah, it's okay for Londoners to visit Manchester. And I'm going to be away at that time. So again, it's summer holidays. So I'm probably not going to make that one. But I encourage you all to join in. There's also Webflow conference. This year, no London conf. Instead, it's just New York, September 17 and 18. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I might make it over there. At this stage, it's a waiting list to get tickets. I've put my name down. We'll see what happens. I think anyone here going? Dan's going. Yep. Oh, good stuff. Do you know if you're presenting or doing anything? TBC. Yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, that's a great way to, get to the source. Some of the frustrations that we have with Webflow, and just sort of yelling out online into the emptiness. Being able to hit up Alan, the CTO, Maguire, the chief educator. Well, he's retired now. The rest of the team. That's all the leadership team here. Vlad, the commander in chief, and corner them and say, "Why don't you add this feature?" And you never know, they might listen. So, right. So on to the main event. Lauri has an agency in Estonia, designing and building websites. I won't spoil his story. He's passing through London on business. I've spotted his LinkedIn post that was gaining a lot of engagement a few weeks ago, and reached out to Lauri, and he's kindly agreed to present. So put your hands together for Lauri. Thank you, Lauri.
Oh, thank you. All right, thanks for being here, and I'm Lauri, and I'm gonna tell you about my experience with WordPress and Webflow. And yeah, I have tons of experience with WordPress, and now with the last few years I've been like getting to know Webflow quite as well too. So briefly about me, I like to visit London. Last time I was here on January, been to Liverpool, to Manchester, planned events, and always have a blast. Also, before I tell you about the WordPress and Webflow details, just a few words about myself. Many years ago, I was not accepted to a local art school, so I learned all the design things myself. I just Googled and tried. Now, fast forward a few years, I've been designing a lot, designed projects to 29 countries, won over 11 design awards, including European Design Award Silver, and I've done tons of WordPress projects as well, worked quite a lot. What's also fun, since I Googled and learned everything, then Google hired me to train thousands of people at the Grow with Google series. So I've done 7 trainings for them. And also, local art school didn't accept me, but I was hired by the best, one of the best in whole Europe, Aalto University. So that project was pretty fun as well. And yeah, recently I've been learning a lot Webflow, and I really, really love it. I will tell you all about it. And also I got my captain's license, which I'm really proud, totally irrelevant. And I have a useless bachelor degree, which I don't use. So that's me. And also, before I started my business, I love taking risks, and I guess that's where my risk-taking and creativity comes from. I used to do extreme sports, and
Is that you, Lauri?
that's me. And in
wow.
the middle is my son, who is now riding the BMX as well.
Any broken bones?
Tons.
Oh no.
A few stitches. And yeah, here's a little video. Maybe it will work. That is about Xfiner, where I come from. That's my agency. right, let's move
Very
on.
nice. Yeah, nice.
That was done by my colleague.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Oh, that's also one irrelevant thing. I like to show irrelevant things. That's me flying around in the office.
In slow-mo.
Yeah. That was a clip from a hiring campaign we did.
Okay. Was there something soft?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Bunch of bean bags. So I was all right, didn't broke any bones. All right, so the agenda. I'm going to tell you about WordPress, how I got started, and I want to show you like specific projects. I think some of them are pretty interesting. Also, how I got tired, and actually I froze the agency. I did something else for a few years, and now last year I got back into the game, and it's now mostly Webflow. And yeah, I'm going to also compare like specific areas that I learned, and hopefully maybe it's beneficial for you as well, so you can skip the trial and error. So about WordPress, it all started in 2011. I had no experience, and then I quit my job. And I thought, well, let's make WordPress websites. I also didn't have any design skills. I just used Teams and, call people and let's do it. So 2014, I founded my agency. It was called Bitfiner. Now it's Xfiner. And yeah, I just did it every day. And at some point I was like working with 25 people, different projects, design, WordPress development, like software, virtual tours, you name it. But yeah, it was a wild ride. So that's a picture of my former office. It was a bank building, 3rd floor, pretty nice. We renovated it, and now it's gone. We are remote. And yeah, I will tell you a bit later, like why remote is my choice right now. But anyhow, Office also has tons of benefits. All right, but let's get to the topic, right? Let's talk about WordPress projects. I brought this up because it was, I think, the most unique WordPress projects that I did with my agency. It was for the leading precious metals and forex dealer in Northern Europe. They are active, I think, in 10 plus countries now. Back then it was like 8. So we built an e-commerce website for them that people can buy bullion like gold and silver, trade currency, and also do money transfers like Wise, etc., or Revolt. It had tons of like crazy features. I mean, it's not like a traditional WordPress business website. There were like a portfolio where people can add their coins, track the value, see how much it's growing or decreasing. It even had some price locks. It's like following the market price, and if it goes up like, let's say, 2%, it's gonna freeze some systems, so it will not hurt the business. A lot of competitors were actually scanning the website. They were scanning the prices, and they were trying to match the prices on their own website. So we needed to build like some mechanisms to protect the website. All right, thank you. Yeah, and tons of many others, as you can see, charts, many crazy things. But mostly it was, e-commerce websites, and people can just buy gold and silver, and they were selling huge amounts. So what was interesting about this project as well, the design took over 250 hours, so it wasn't like a quick thing. And yeah, the development lasted for multiple years. At first we launched in one country, and then they have like different businesses in different countries, and they have different people, different logic, and then we need to adapt all of that to other countries. So it took over 4,000 hours, which is it's pretty intense, I would say. And I was leading the project back then, and also one of our project managers was leading that a bit later. But I remember it was like really, really, really wild. Just a random thing. I was working in Oslo, like visiting the client, and then just, oh, let's go live. So we did it on the go. But let's look at some positive things and perhaps not so positive. And whether it's positive or not positive, it's up to you, I guess. But that's just my take. When I think about WordPress, I do believe it's like a great platform. It's definitely more cost efficient than to build from scratch. And at least back then, it was like many years ago, it was a great choice. And I think right now also it's like pretty solid. What was also interesting was obviously the experience working with so many people, so many tasks. I mean, the backlog and the sprints, they were intense, to put it softly. And we even won some awards, like locally and from Germany with the site. Obviously, thousands of hours bring in income, so that was good. But most of all, it was like really interesting. It really like tickled the brain, and you had to figure out like so complex systems. And it was like every day you have to overcome yourself and achieve a new level to get it done. But yeah, let's look at the not so good things. That I also see Webflow really has resolved quite nicely. And one of the things when I think about the front end is like huge budgets, right? So many hours. We have to spend like so much time making it really good. And then comes the testing, then we have the bugs. It's done, it's fixed. And now, a few moments later, it's broken again. So what the hell? And yeah, obviously managing different people, vendors, and their team also is like quite a challenge because, well, we have our systems, the vendor has their systems, and we have to work in harmony. But sometimes things work and sometimes not. The not so good is also like client relationship, because what I saw on many WordPress projects is like when you're doing like audits, the research, UX research, design, it's like a hockey stick, everybody's so happy, it's like wow. And then comes the development and it slowly starts to go down because clients, they don't care about development, right? They just want to get their stuff like really fast. But well, we couldn't do it that fast at that time. So that was a bummer. The quality, I guess, the tech stack, the bugs, and the testing all come as a package because you really have to like fight for the quality in WordPress projects. So even if you design it perfect, then you really have to work hard to get it developed as good as well. Tech stack, so I guess WordPress is like, PHP mostly, but you can actually do a lot of things on the front end, and many agencies do. So one agency does that, the other that, and sometimes the agency also like evolves and does things differently. So at the end, you are left with a puzzle. You bring in the other agency, and they have to figure out like, well, that was not done so good as expected. And yeah, the project management, when I compare like Webflow and WordPress, that was huge. I mean, so many tasks, so many descriptions, and even if you describe things really well, sometimes people just missed it. So that was pretty hard. And the pipeline as well. Well, we had different phases like UX, UI. Before that, we had the audits, then design, right, and development, front end, back end, etc. Testing and pre-production, again more testing, and then live, more testing. So it was pretty intense, but we got it done. It worked quite well, and we did to 8 countries. So mission accomplished, but it wasn't easy. Just a few screenshots. And now let's take another one. That's also e-commerce, and the third one is much simpler. But I wanted to have like this balance to show you the complex side, I guess, that WordPress is catering. So this one was the leading premium boost seller in Baltics. Well, I liked the project, obviously. And it was also an e-commerce website. It had tons of integrations with the product information management system. We didn't do it on WooCommerce. it came outside, and then it just was living on WooCommerce as a placeholder. It was connected with different ERPs, CRM systems, so it was again pretty complex. The design took quite a bit of time, tons of views that we designed, like over 100 screens, desktop, mobile, and we launched the website in 2 countries, and the development was again intense, over 1,000 hours, which is something I wouldn't imagine on a Webflow project, to be honest. So let's look at the good and the not so good. Obviously, this project, I guess, is well, since it's on WordPress and on WooCommerce, it's like much more cost efficient than to do it from scratch. And when I think about Webflow, it's basically impossible, maybe just the front end, right? So that was, I guess, a good choice. But obviously, there are more options like Shopify or something custom, something headless. But obviously, the experience was really, really interesting. Obviously, the income and tons of other things. So it was also like one of these projects where you really had to push yourself and people around you to get it done well. But let's look at the other side, right? It was like almost identical, I would say, with the first project that I showed you. So we spent tons of time. The budget was pretty huge. Again, we had complexity in the vendor management, and yeah, it's like different people. They have different backgrounds. We do have like one system. It was WordPress. I mean, for me, it was like, how can it be like so complicated? Why people do like things so differently? And when I have met like with dozens of agencies and developers, they all have their own like style. And then to have it like running on multiple projects really good, that was, I guess, pretty hard. And again, actually, to be honest, it is hurting client relationship, because when we did the audit, we discovered like the gaps that they were hitting wrong, where we could turn things around. Client was really, really happy. When we did the mock-ups and the design, super happy. And then when we entered development, well, nobody cared, right? But after a while, when you see something visually, well, it was nice. But it was obvious that some things like were not working as smooth as we wanted, even ourselves. So we were like constantly going back and forth in the task. So I mean, dear developer, here is the design, here's the description, and why it's not possible to do it like that. But anyhow, that's another topic. It was like a typical workflow that we had to run the task through, I think, multiple times until we got it smooth as we wanted. And this only reflects the thing about the quality. So it was really hard to get the quality high. We put in a lot of effort. The tech stack, again, for this one, actually, it was slightly different. We had some automated deploying systems, Git branches. I mean, it was like properly organized, I would say. But still, we were facing some bugs. And then sometimes when somebody deployed something new, things got broken. So there was something missing. And obviously, a lot of testing. We had a dedicated QA, who checked the tasks, checked the website, tested it on different browsers, devices. So we put in effort. And yeah, the project management was also quite intense, because even if you outline things perfectly, at least in your head, it will change on the go. So you always need to adapt and pretty much understand that you need to do certain things again and again and again. So that was pretty wild project. And let's look at the other one. So the third project is something more simple. It's kind of like a traditional business website. It has a few landing pages and not so many complex things. It was done for a client in Berlin, nice chain of restaurants and coffee shops. We did like tons of landing pages. It was like a nice website. We spent quite some time on the design, as you can see, and the development went much faster, but in my opinion, it's like still like quite a lot for a small website. I was also in Berlin visiting the client. I mean, again, in the design phase. Before that, everything was like super cool, super nice. It also won the German Design Award, so that was good. Obviously, the experience, knowing more about coffee, where it comes from, how it's made, that was nice, and etc. But when you think about the other side, that was not so good. Again, what I saw was a major loss in design. So we really put in some effort, and when I see what developers delivered, I was like, okay, here we go again. And again, the cycle repeated. So opened up the task, checked the screenshot, descriptions, Figma, everything is there, but somehow it's not coming out as expected. So we run the task a few more times, and then it was like nice, but it ate my energy, team energy, and obviously the vendor wanted to invoice a larger amount as well, which I was not very happy with. And at the end, it definitely influences the client relationship, because I mean the client is paying the invoices, and they just see the milestones, and if at some point it's not going that smoothly, I mean people sense it. It's like people are smart, right? So it was really hard again to keep the quality as we wanted. The tech stack was interesting for this one. The developers wanted to do like tons of ACF fields so the client could control the front end easily. But actually, the client went in and was like, "What is this? It's like so hard." And even for me, you go into WordPress admin and you see like tons of inputs, and then you have to visualize, oh yeah, that input is there on the front end. So for me, it's like doable, but for a client who is dealing with premium tastes, it's like another world. So project management, again, pretty hard because the same cycle repeated, and just had to repeat myself over and over again. And yeah, that one I already mentioned, it was pretty hard to manage. The CMS, in my opinion, caused issues. I mean, sometimes developers do the hard-coded way, so the front end is like completely locked. So I guess that was good that people can manage it, but it was like overcomplicated. So, but yeah, I was happy with the design, and in my opinion, when I look at the Figma, it still looks good. So what happened after 2014, 2021, I really felt like tired. I call it like design coma because my background is in design, but somehow I got into running WordPress projects and doing the tech stuff as well. So what I did, I actually stopped the agency work. I only kept like a really tiny portion of clients, did the bare minimum. I spent a few months on Canary Islands, just relaxed. And then when I came back, I actually invested in a WordPress startup because I thought I saw the pain like so closely. I wanted to resolve it. But anyhow, once it evolved into the full product, I realized that, oh shit, it's like the same story again. So I was honest to myself, and I froze it before it's like too late. So that's how it went. And then I had some previous experience with Webflow, so I remembered that there was like something there. And I started to look into it and really got interested. And now, a bit time later, I actually consider myself quite a good Webflow developer. I can definitely do better quality than the vendors did for me a few years before that. So, and all on WordPress, all on Webflow, and much faster. So yeah, now I'm sailing the Webflow winds, and let's see how that goes. So that's a memory from the startup times where I invested. I was pitching it on some event. We did have like clients, and the product was actually working. But long story short, what I saw is like the maintenance was like so painful. It's like we fix some things for the front end and for maybe the end users, but as a client, you will still feel the same pain. So I thought like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So now I really like Webflow. For me, it's like happy work, happy team, happy clients, happy people, and obviously happy numbers. I haven't felt like this frustration with Webflow, at least now. And I imagine that I won't. If you work with skilled people and you know what to do, everything is fine. But even with WordPress, when we had skilled team, but then you have some, weaker parts, things can quickly fall apart. So what I've done with Webflow so far, built a few sites. I think they are pretty solid. They're also at Xfiner's portfolio. And for me, well, I have pretty good design knowledge in Figma, but the hardest part to understand in Webflow was the organization and the classes. When I started, it was like a mess, like thousands of classes. I couldn't understand anything. Every change was like, custom. But yeah, then I read about the client-first framework, and now it's like pretty simple and super lightweight. So I guess that was for me the hardest part. Since I've been getting more into Webflow, clients are pretty happy, and me too. And yeah, this is my focus right now. So here's some feedback from recent projects. I think past 1 or 2 months. One is like the European Union's desk in Estonia, Creative Europe. So we did a new site for them. Also runs on Webflow, and they were just blown away, super happy. And the same for one charity in Sweden. They're also in the UK, US, and some countries else. I think, United Arab Emirates, I guess. And then it's like one payment company. So I also did like my own online course. I thought, like, why not give it a try? I did like design masterclass for larger e-commerce websites, and that was also picked up by one payment provider who offered the course to its 5,000 customers. So I couldn't be more happier. And I also built it on Webflow and MemberStack, like super fast. And I bet that WordPress developers would have charged me like, tens of thousands. It took me like, I guess, less than a week. So let's zoom in and, sum up the differences. WordPress versus Webflow. I guess the main thing is like time spent. You have to spend your time wisely, and, the client budget as well. So maybe let's say 5 or plus years ago, it wasn't so easy to be that efficient. But now you can be more efficient with Webflow. I think that's good. And WordPress is eating more resources for sure. If it's a complex website, then it cannot be done maybe on Webflow. That's the reality. But if it's like some more or less streamlined business website, then definitely Webflow is much faster. And yeah, the speed. I mean, this is one thing I really, really love. I remember the VP Rocket and whatever caching plugins we had. So first, when you see a WordPress website, at least in my experience, it was quite slow. And then the devs put on the plugin, and it was, well, okay, it was quite nice. But as soon as you cleared the cache, everything was like slow again. And yeah, anyhow, Webflow is pretty fast out of the box. If you organize it nicely, if you keep the images optimized, etc., it's like even faster. And also the design freedom and all the interactions and animations, uncomparable in my opinion. In WordPress, you were like limited by IT teams. I remember the meetings, and we had done a design, we were happy, and then came the IT guys and like, oh, we can't do it, sorry, it's too hard. In Webflow, you just do it, and the rest is history. Vendor management, well, I have, before I learned Webflow myself, I actually hired a few developers and agencies, and I really found out that working with them was a bit more easier than with WordPress agencies. Because like Webflow is kind of like standardized, right? It's a tool, visual building platform. And if you really mess it up there, then it's, I guess, just about your skills. And yeah, client relationship. Now, this is like really, really good. Remember I told that with WordPress, it was like going up and then down. But with Webflow, it goes up and it stays there. It's like the cherry on the cake. So that's pretty good. Quality, tech stack box testing, I guess that's also easier to achieve on Webflow, at least in my opinion. So with Webflow, you just do it, it works, that's it. And with WordPress, you have to go like over and over and over through those cycles to get it really high. Project management is like pretty easy. What I've seen is that people who are using Webflow, they are also more creative and maybe not so development orientated. And it's like when you give a creative person a task, they understand it more better, and the outcome is like pretty close to what you see in Figma. So that is cool. And also what I love is like you get to upgrade the experience on Webflow. You add interactions, and sometimes you see that, it can be slightly different, and you can actually do it even better. And yeah, the production pipeline in Webflow, it's like just publish, done. And with WordPress, you have different systems depending on the projects. I guess some people do it the FTP way. Some people are more advanced. They do it, through different pipelines and systems. But it's still a dedicated workflow, and it's eating up energy for sure. And yeah, about e-commerce at the moment, I think it's like not so good for Webflow. You can basically build a front end of a Shopify website, I guess, on Webflow, and that can be actually quite good. But if you think about those big projects that I showed you that took thousands of hours, and I really cannot understand how it would work out with those yet. But maybe it will change, and maybe I don't have all the knowledge in the world, which I don't. And anyhow, I don't want to go back, at least right now. I love the happy life and the happy clients. And yeah, let's look at some nice quotes I remember that the clients and developers told me. So I'm not gonna say the first words, but obviously people complained that why is it like so slow? And me included, I didn't really understand like why. And yeah, why do we have to pay so much? Sometimes the budgets were like pretty big. And obviously it's related with the hours that you have to spend. Like, why does something that is so simple take so much time? And I still can't figure it out. These ones are from the developers I used to work with. So it was working on their computer, which was fine. But for me and our clients, it was not working. But I'm glad it worked for them. And yeah, I cannot replicate the bug. And then we had the QA write detailed analysis, screenshots, looms, everything. And it was still not possible to replicate it. So that was interesting. And then we went back to the backlog and described the issue in more detail. And yeah, but let's end with a high note. So that was the solution. Here's the invoice. The vendors wanted to send me the invoice because they did a lot of work. And I wanted to invoice my customers. So I think that's not good. That's how it should not be. And with Webflow, it's different. People are happy to pay up. So yeah, thanks so much, and happy to answer any questions if you have.
Thank you very much, Lauri. We've got a microphone on a stick, so we can pass this around. But maybe I can kick off with a question. The number of times, can you speak to the number of times clients have messed up a WordPress site compared to how many times a client has messed up a Webflow site, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I guess the weight leans towards WordPress. Depends how the developers did it, but sometimes it was like really strange that we had to teach the clients how to clear cache. And if there was some issue in that process and cache was cleared, then some things blew up. In Webflow, it's just easier. If they did really something or accidentally deleted a component or a section, you can just go back and restore it from the backup. You don't have to have like this plugins.
So these days, would you give a client designer access?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah.
They are pretty fine with it.
Okay.
And if they mess up, I think I have had like maybe 2 or 3 times. So I don't consider it much.
More questions? I feel like Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Hi, mate. Thanks so much for the presentation. Really interesting to hear that experience from WordPress to Webflow. Other than e-commerce, what's the one thing you miss the most about WordPress?
About WordPress?
Yeah.
What do I miss?
Yeah. There must be one thing.
Let me think.
Or maybe not.
Yeah. Open source, that's a good one. Thanks for that. That's even. Yeah, that's actually true. That's like a good thing about WordPress. I mean, I really wish that they could have some visual building experience. I've tried Elementor and the other tools like Crocoblock or something, but really they don't come close to Webflow, and they were like pretty complex. And at the end of the day, you still have the plugins you need to update. Something is not working well together, and a bunch of problems.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. It was really interesting. Love the branding, by the way. I think my question would be in terms of we often compare Webflow and WordPress, kind of assuming that both of them are website builders, where WordPress is more of a CMS, which kind of became a website builder because we had no options back then. So in terms of being a CMS, do you think Webflow matches WordPress in terms of how robust of a CMS it could be? Because when I do WordPress websites versus Webflow websites, I often find WordPress at a significant advantage when it comes to ACF or repeater fields or matrix elements or anything like that. So in your experience, has Webflow kind of satisfied at least like 9 out of 10 of your needs in a CMS context?
That's a great question. And well, I remember when I started with WordPress, everything was like, hard coded, and you just saw the front end. Then came the ACF, and you can, oh wow, you can change some things. But for me, the ACF and things like that, they were like pretty complex. And when I have tried Webflow CMS, it's like really straightforward, and building out the collections on front end is like so much easier. So from my perspective, it's like Webflow is more flexible, I guess, and more easier. It's like it's really hard to mess up. And with ACF, I mean, I don't know. For me, it was too much. But perhaps it's better for front end developers, and maybe it's good for them. So I don't have this kind of coding skills, so I wouldn't know.
Thanks.
I'm going to throw in 2 words, or maybe they're more than words. Custom ordering items.
Yeah.
That's not really, and that's the thing with Webflow. That could next week there could be an update, and we have that. That'd be great. And then also asset manager in the CMS. They're 2 big gaping holes that hopefully Webflow will plug soon. That WordPress had a solution a long time ago. Who's next? Anthony.
Hi. Yeah, so you said you haven't really had that much like Webflow pain yet. So do you only create websites from scratch, or have you had much experience like trying to fix badly built Webflow websites, which is a real pain?
Yeah. I guess I'm lucky because I don't have experience with taking over poorly built websites. So I've done them from scratch, and that is much more easier. I did one website actually that was built by another agency who I hired like many years ago, and then I just redid it myself. And actually that was pretty smooth because I just created like new classes, all the new components, and later deleted all the styles and components that I didn't need, and it was clean. So you had to like redo it. Yeah. I did everything from scratch actually.
Any more questions? Down the front.
Thanks so much for the presentation. I think all of that really resonated, like from our own experience of many years working with WordPress and Webflow. One challenge we've come across a few times with Webflow is around version control. And I just kind of wondered whether you had any comments on that. So you build a site, it looks great, client wants to make a series of improvements to it. You want to kind of keep those isolated and not put them out into the world, but stuff goes wrong and the inevitable happens. Just wanted, your perspective on that.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. To be honest, I don't have such experience yet that we have to control the versions like in so isolated manner. Usually it's like when somebody wants something new, we do it and we publish it and it's done. But obviously if it's like bigger, you want to, keep it away and you don't want the customer to publish it. So I guess, the version control is definitely a big topic, especially if you're actually, doing upgrades for the brand. You have certain elements changing and you want to do it like step by step. Then, you need some version control or just a duplicate site.
So, funnily enough, that's an excellent segue into our next presentation, where we're going to see version control with a feature of page branching and so on that is limited to enterprise Webflow. But are there any more questions while we're at it? All good? Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Lauri. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
I especially like the description of WordPress developers and not able to replicate the issue and not seeing design in the same way that a Webflow developer may see design. Someone that has a bit of a design background, there's things that the classic I've always come across is vertical spacing. Developers don't acknowledge that exists. It just needs to be on the next line. That's it. But designers, they see it from a mile away. Great insights. Thank you very much, Lauri.
Thank you.
So up next, we have Anthony. Let's see if that can come up. And I do slideshow from current slide. There we go. Hey, there we go. Up next is Anthony, so take it away. Actually, we'll re-mic. Here we go. Get you over here. And now for our viewers watching on the live stream, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.